Hello everyone and welcome back. You've obviously seen the thumbnail, so you know that we're doing the Dick Landy Duster for mostly old parts and rust. This isn't going to be exactly a technical or exciting mod, but when we get done, it's going to be beautiful. Let's get the pegs out. Now, I learned through a recent build that we did for Twisted Mopar Garage about this car. This particular model has the peg under the hood scoop. That won't cause us any problems later, but just something to keep in mind. I won't even have to redo the wheels on this one, so no Tinkercad session this time around. And there we go. I'll put the other components away for safekeeping, but let's get this body off to the goo. What do you say? Something else that I learned from that build for Twisted Mopar is that the paint does not like to come off of this particular model. I'm going to leave it in for 24 hours before I try to polish it. Something you'll see here in a moment is that the extra time in the goo did help a lot, but the decals are still protecting that purple paint. I'm going to have to put it back in. There we go. Alrighty, let's make this thing shiny. One more lesson to be taught from the Twisted Mopar Garage build is that this hood can be filled in with body filler. Now that it's all shiny, let's get to that. Of course, I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to sand it down and then I'm going to put a new hood scoop on it. Something that I've learned from another YouTuber is that once this two-part epoxy has had a little bit of time to dry, it becomes tacky. Much easier to move around if you want to do that. I'm not a big fan of sanding this stuff off later on, so that's what I'm going to do. Once it's smooth, I'll set it aside to finish drying. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's get the paddle wheel out and smooth it down. I've started to use the paddle wheel on this because it's a bit more forgiving if you happen to make a mistake. I'm sure you've been watching the channel long enough to know that I make plenty of mistakes. This seems to be going pretty well though. Uh-oh, somebody knock on some wood. Cross your fingers. Something. And just like that, the bodywork will hide under the primer. It'll be like I was never there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to head over to Tinkercad and take care of the hood scoop. I've got to get it on the car before I put it in primer and paint. Luckily though, I've already got a hood scoop created for this, so no major Tinkercad session this week. The scoop might be a little small, but it still looks just about right. I'll get it glued on, let it dry, and then get it into primer. It's so nice to be back in the shop. Now I don't have to listen to Foggy lecture me about overspray on her countertop. Now that we've got that pretty Maui / petty blue on, I'm going to let it dry and then pass it off to Foggy for some decals. I would normally do these myself, but at 1/64 scale, they're just microscopic. And since I need new glasses and Foggy has better eyes than I do, well, that kind of narrows it down a little bit. While she finishes that up, I'll rattle can the roll cage and get it put in the interior. Then we'll get everything test fitted. Oh, I almost forgot. I had to sand down the Mattel stamp on the passenger side glass. I have to say, if you're ever doing any super fine detail work, these sponge blocks work out great. Alrighty, folks. I think it's time to get this thing put back together and maybe do some glamour shots.